Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Lamb, sitting in for David Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. A Georgia judge ruled District Attorney Fani Willis can stay on Trump's case, but there's a catch. Find out the latest on today's developments. Blizzard conditions bury Colorado in snow. More on current conditions, impacts, and how some locals are reacting. 16 female athletes are suing the NCAA. They allege the organization violated Title IX by allowing transgender athletes compete in women's events. First up, a Georgia judge ruled today that DA Fani Willis can stay on the case. Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee declined to remove the prosecutor who brought charges against former President Trump. But there's a catch. Judge McAfee said District Attorney Fani Willis's relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade has the appearance of impropriety. He suggested either Willis or Wade should exit the case to resolve this issue swiftly. Shortly after the ruling, Nathan Wade turned in his resignation, which was accepted by the DA's office. Willis's relationship with Wade, the lead prosecutor she appointed to lead the case, was revealed in a January court filing by a Trump co-defendant. Here's the reaction to today's court ruling from Scott Grubman, who represented Kenneth Cheesebro, one of the 18 co-defendants in the Georgia election interference case.
This is a huge loss to the justice system. With all due respect to Judge McAfee, I don't see how you could say that it is clear that these folks lied, that there's an appearance of impropriety, and yet, in order to make it all go away, all that has to happen is Nathan Wade has to withdraw from the case.
The Trump defense team will likely file an interlocutory appeal with the appellate court. Some believe that the chances for the case to go to trial before the November election will be very slim. Meanwhile, another potential headache for DA Fani Willis comes from House Republicans, as she could face contempt of Congress charges for not complying with the subpoena. Congressman Jim Jordan sent a letter on Thursday. It accuses Willis of failing to fully comply with the February 2nd subpoena. The subpoena is for records on her office's use of federal funds for the case against Trump. It alleges that a whistleblower formerly employed in Willis's office faced demotion after raising concerns about her alleged misuse of federal grant funds. The funds were intended for gang activity prevention, but were allegedly used for unauthorized expenses such as trips and laptops. Willis, in late February, called the subpoena overbroad and unduly burdensome. Now let's take a look at other top headlines. The Supreme Court ruled today that public officials may block people on social media in certain circumstances, tossing aside challenges against local government officials in Michigan and California who blocked followers who were critical of them on Facebook. In a unanimous opinion written by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, the court set a clearer standard on a First Amendment question. When a publicly elected official communicates with voters through social media, are those pages considered private or an extension of the government? The ruling centered on two cases. One case, O'Connor-Ratcliffe versus Garnier, involves elected school board members in California who blocked the parents of students in their district. Another, Linke v. Fried, is about a city manager in Michigan who blocked an advocate who criticized the city's handling of COVID-19. The justices didn't fully address how the standard it set would apply to the facts of those cases, instead letting lower courts sort that out. During Trump's presidency, the former president was sued for violating the First Amendment when he blocked followers from his Twitter account. The case was dismissed by the time it reached the High Court in 2021, as he was no longer in office. The Supreme Court says today, when a public official acts in a private capacity to block or delete someone's comments, the official is not violating the following First Amendment rights. Instead, the official is exercising his or her own First Amendment rights. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis detailed alarming items found aboard a Haitian migrant boat off the Florida coast today.
Our Florida Fish and Wildlife officers interdicted a vessel that had 25 illegal immigrants, potential illegal immigrants from Haiti, in their boat, in their vessel. They had firearms, they had drugs, they had night vision gear.
DeSantis made the announcement at a press conference, where he also signed 3 pieces of legislation to deter illegal immigration into the Sunshine State. DeSantis said that since January 2023, officials had assisted the Coast Guard with the interdiction of 670 vessels carrying over 13,500 illegal immigrants. The Republican governor had also announced an increase of personnel and aircraft to the Florida coast in light of unrest in Haiti and the potential for an increase in migration via the sea from the conflict-hit country.
And I think the message is the last thing you should want to do is get on some boat and think you're going to come through from any of these islands to get to the state of Florida. The most likely scenario is you will be stopped and you will be returned to your country of origin.
In addition, the 3 bills that the governor signed into law today would prohibit Florida counties from issuing IDs and driver's licenses to illegal immigrants, and increase the sentence for someone driving without a valid license or committing a crime after prior deportation. System outages at McDonald's reported worldwide today, shuttering some restaurants and leading to complaints on social media. The website Down Detector also reported a spike in problems with the McDonald's app. Media outlets reported that customers from Australia to the UK ran into issues with ordering. One customer in Australia posted a photo on X saying a kiosk was unavailable. Locations in Bangkok, Milan, and London were able to get back up and running after resolving the issue. McDonald's has about 40,000 restaurants worldwide, with nearly 3,000 stores across Japan and roughly 1,000 in Australia. The fast food chain ruled out the possibility of a cybersecurity incident. A significant snowstorm dumped substantial amounts of snow in Colorado, resulting in flight cancellations and the closure of a major highway. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the blizzard.
According to the National Weather Service, the storm, which began Wednesday night, delivered one of the snowiest months in Denver, which got up to about 10 inches of snow. Between 10 and 20 inches fell in the metro area and 2 to 4 feet in the foothills.
So I think March is when we receive the most snow, which is always unexpected because we're waiting for spring, but then here we are.
The storm resulted in widespread power outages, leaving over 82,000 customers without electricity. It also sustained hazardous travel conditions, prompting flight cancellations. Numerous schools and government offices were closed through Friday. A 90-mile section of Interstate 70 was closed in the mountains due to numerous reports of stranded vehicles. The interstate remained closed to commercial traffic until noon on Friday. Several ski resorts were forced to close due to the severe weather. However, many residents in Denver are finding enjoyment in the snowy conditions.
Isn't it beautiful? It covers up all the scummy parts, see? Now you've got this beautiful white snow on everything. and when I come out in the morning, it's something like this, I say, God, it's gorgeous, just gorgeous. It really is. I love the snow. I have no complaints. I love the snow. The other thing I don't like is the shoveling.
As the snow diminishes on Friday, lingering showers are expected to persist over the mountains. Rain and snow will continue overnight Saturday for Denver, wrapping up Sunday afternoon. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Riley Gaines, along with 15 other female athletes, are suing the NCAA. The suit says the organization knowingly violated Title IX, which guarantees men and women equal opportunity in college education and sports. NTD's Jason Blair has more from one of the plaintiffs in the case.
16 female athletes announced on Thursday that they filed a first-of-its-kind lawsuit against the NCAA for allowing transgender athletes to compete against them in sports, as well as for letting trans athletes use female locker rooms.
The NCAA is failing in their most basic duties to protect women and provide fair, equal, and a safe playing field for women.
Caitlin Wheeler is one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit and a former NCAA swimmer. She says many women have been stripped of opportunities to fairly compete in sports.
They've been denied scholarships. They've been put in physical danger and exposed to humiliation in locker rooms, and I'm one of them.
Transgender athlete Leah Thomas dominated the NCAA swimming championships in 2022. Wheeler said she and her teammates were shocked when they unexpectedly ran into Thomas in the locker room before the 2022 competition.
But what we didn't expect was to be fully undressed, putting on our racing suits, and turning around and seeing a man standing a mere 10 feet from you, changing and exposing himself. It was shocking, it was humiliating, it was disheartening.
She said she felt betrayed by an organization she trusted.
So any girl that wants to continue on in college can expect to see this and can expect to be in danger.
Julie Lane is a former NCAA volleyball athlete and co-founder of Women Are Real, an advocacy group for women's rights in sports, locker rooms, and prisons. She said she thinks it's important that people know that women didn't consent to allow trans athletes to compete with them.
Nobody was surveyed 13 years ago when they put this rule in place. The NCAA has to listen. They can settle this immediately. They can simply have people participate in their own sex-based category, as it's always been since Title IX was implemented.
The lawsuit is being funded by the Independent Council on Women's Sports. It demands changing the rules to have biological males not able to compete against females and to revoke and reassign all awards given to trans athletes. It also seeks, quote, damages for pain and suffering, mental and emotional distress, suffering and anxiety, expense cost, and other damages due to defendants' wrongful conduct. Jason Blair, NTD News.
The National Association of Realtors has revealed a groundbreaking court settlement poised to reshape the landscape of home sales in the United States. NTD's Christina Corona tells us more.
The National Association of Realtors reached a resolution to address antitrust litigation alleging brokerages inflated sales commissions on Friday. Expected to bring savings to home sellers nationwide, the trade group has agreed to pay $418 million in damages and eliminate its regulations on commissions, signaling the end of the standard 6% commission for real estate agents in the U.S. The NAR, which represents over 1 million realtors, also agreed to new rules. One bans agents' compensation from being included on multiple listing services. Critics say it led brokers to push more expensive properties on customers. Another ends requirements for brokers to subscribe to multiple listing services. And the third mandates that buyers' brokers must establish written agreements with their clients. The agreement will dismantle the existing home buying and selling model, where sellers cover expenses for both their broker and the buyer's broker. Critics argue that this model has artificially inflated housing prices. According to DD Cohen Insights, real estate commissions are projected to decrease by 25 to 50% based on certain estimates. The rule adjustments are scheduled to come into effect in mid-July. Agents associated with Home Services of America are excluded from the terms of the settlement. Christina Corona, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. New technology for immigrants without passports. We'll take a look at how border agents plan to identify people without IDs. Some know it as hang loose, but in Hawaii, this gesture is known as shaka, and lawmakers want to make it the state's official gesture. Lots is happening in the sports world. Carlos Reyes will bring you more on NIL controversies and a legendary retirement. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Lamb. A change of rules at the border. Immigrants without passports must now submit to facial recognition to board flights in the U.S. Those who do not have one would be denied entry.
The U.S. government has started requiring immigrants without passports to use facial recognition technology for domestic flights. The change caused confusion this week among immigrants and advocacy groups in Texas. It is not clear exactly when the change took effect, but several migrants with flights out of South Texas on Tuesday told advocacy groups that they thought they were being turned away. This included people who had used the government's online appointment system to pursue their immigration cases. Advocates were also concerned about those who had crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally before being processed by Border Patrol agents and released to pursue their immigration cases. The Transportation Security Administration told the Associated Press on Thursday that people without proper photo identification who want to board flights must submit to facial recognition technology to verify their identity using Department of Homeland Security records. The agency said if TSA cannot match their identity to DHS records, they will also be denied entry into the secure areas of the airport and will be denied boarding. Agency officials did not say when TSA made the change, only that it was recent and not in response to a specific security threat. It's not clear how many migrants might be affected, as some have foreign passports.
Hawaii is planning to make a hand gesture the state's official gesture. Locally, it is known as shaka, else the hang loose sign.
A pinky and thumb extended with the remaining fingers curled down. That's the shaka in Hawaii.
So there's no wrong way to do a shaka. I typically do this. Some people do that. You should see my husband's shaka. It's kind of like a not even shaka. My daughter, who's 2.5, she knows how to shaka now. I'm so proud of that.
The gesture is sometimes known outside the islands as the hang loose sign, associated with surf culture. But it was a fixture of daily life in the islands long before it caught on in California, Brazil, and beyond. People in Hawaii have a variety of shaka styles and use it to convey a range of warm-hearted sentiments, from hi and bye to thanks and aloha, among other meanings. Now, a pair of bills in the state legislature would make the shaka the state's official gesture and recognize Hawaii as its birthplace. Senator Glenn Wakai, who introduced the Senate version, said he can't imagine the measure meeting any opposition and expects it to sail through.
You might ask, why? My question and response is, why not? We need to take ownership of this in case someone else in another state or another country wants to somehow claim all the goodness that is embodied in this hand gesture.
In practice, the shaka is far more nuanced. Some say the only requirement is an extended pinky and thumb. Others say shaking the shaka is a no-no. The shaka carries friendliness and warmth, aloha spirit. Some hold it low when greeting a child, and some like to flash double shakas. It can convey greetings, gratitude, or assent, or it can diffuse tension. There are various theories about how the term shaka became associated with the gesture. Some have suggested that the name came from Japan's Shaka Buddha.
Now we turn our attention to two major developments in the world of football, from NIL controversies to legendary retirements. NTD's Carlos Reyes is here to break down the recent headlines.
Former Alabama head coach Nick Saban, a titan in the college football world with 7 national championships under his belt, isn't one to mince words, especially when it comes to the evolving landscape of collegiate sports. This week, Saban stepped into a courtroom not as a strategist on the gridiron, but as a voice advocating for change. In a series of impassioned statements, Saban highlighted his concerns regarding the seismic shift caused by name, image, and likeness policies. What we have now is not college football, he declared, reflecting on his half-century tenure in the game. The game he once knew, built on principles he held dear, has undergone a transformation that he finds disheartening. His recent courtroom appearance shed light on his stance, emphasizing the need for regulation and restructuring of the current system. Saban's vision for the future of college sports is clear: a shift from the current collective-driven model to a more equitable revenue-sharing arrangement. He argues that while football and basketball generate significant revenue, it's crucial to ensure that non-revenue sports continue to receive adequate support, fostering opportunities for student athletes across all disciplines. His proposals extend beyond more rhetoric. Last year, Saban joined an SEC delegation to Capitol Hill, advocating for federal oversight and standardization of NIL policies. He believes the national legislation is essential to safeguard the integrity of college athletics while providing a level playing field for all student athletes. However, Saban isn't just pointing out problems, he's offering solutions, drawing attention to athletes like former Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, who capitalized on personal branding without relying on collectives. Saban emphasizes the importance of preserving the original intent of NIL. empowering individual athletes. Rams defensive tight end Aaron Donald has hung up his cleats after a decade of dominance, leaving behind a trail of shattered records and unforgettable moments. With 111 career sacks, Donald stands as one of the most prolific pass rushers in NFL history. But it's not just about the sacks. According to ESPN Stats and Information, Donald's 18% pass rush win rate against double teams over the past 5 years is a testament to his unparalleled ability to disrupt offenses even when facing insurmountable odds. His impact simply transcends statistics. A 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Donald's presence on the field was as intimidating as it was awe-inspiring. His tenacity coupled with an unyielding work ethic set him apart as a true icon of the game. And let's not forget his leadership off the field. Rams head coach Sean McVay hailed Donald as a paragon of excellence whose influence extended far beyond the confines of the gridiron. His dedication to greatness served as a beacon of inspiration for teammates and fans alike. As the NFL bids farewell to Aaron Donald, we celebrate not just a player, but a legacy.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. American education firms. A Chinese-owned finance firm has been quietly buying up American education firms. More on its ownership structure and the company's ties to the CCP. Be sure to stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Lamb. Have a wonderful weekend.